States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deneen, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Present.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Here.
Councilwoman Wright.
Here.
Attorney to the Town Taylor.
Here. Okay, I'm going to take a little executive privilege. I mentioned this at the end of the workshop about 20 minutes ago. We're going to move resolution number 9 up to the first action we do tonight, even before our open to the floor, each speaker to be allowed 5 minutes. At the workshop, Jerry Goldman from Woods Oviatt presented for the Ideal Group and the Stroyer family, and from McMahon LaRue about what they're looking conceptually to do at their current manufacturing location, which I think you've been there almost 20 years, right, Ben? So the board heard that presentation, asked questions, and if, unless in the last 20 minutes they have any other questions or comments,
I do not. It was a good presentation.
then I am going to make a motion to refer the Ideal Group Manufacturing Expansion Project at 999 Picture Parkway to the Planning Board for purposes of conducting a site review, whereas this action is a type 2 under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. As such, no further environmental review is required at this time.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye. Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
You guys want to hang out and watch the rest, or if you want to
Congratulations.
read the book or wait for the movie? All right. Good to see you guys.
Good luck. Yep.
Congratulations.
Okay, now I didn't go out to see if anybody signed in to speak, and nobody did sign in, but that doesn't mean maybe somebody changed their mind and wants to take the podium to speak up to 5 minutes on anything their heart desires. Does anybody want to do that? Rick? Art? Nobody? Well, Art, well, you're not a citizen, Art, but, well, no, you are.
It's a citizen of somewhere.
That's right. Okay, well, Deneen, I think the universe is telling us that there is no one that wants to speak tonight. So we're going to move on to the next item, which there are 2 board meeting minutes up for approval tonight, and they both relate to January 2nd. 2 weeks ago, we had our organizational meeting to set up the Town of Webster government for the year 2025. I've reviewed those minutes and make a motion that we approve them.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And then we also had our regular town board meeting from January 2nd. I've reviewed those minutes and make a motion we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye?
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
Patty, it was you, was it not?
It was. I reviewed the bills on Monday, I believe it was. Everything was in order, and I would move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye?
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
Paul, is there anything interesting in the, no, these aren't transfers or amendments, sorry. A little bit of a brain, whatever. I have reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, our Director of Finance, and make a motion we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And I have reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, our Director of Finance, and make a motion we approve those.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye?
Councilwoman Wright. Aye. Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
So I apologize, I don't know, amendments and transfers, I always like to have you kind of just go over any high points. we don't have any of those.
No transfers
Nope, nope, don't. Plus, I'm trying to buy a little time to have Deneen catch her breath after that, sprint. Now, the next item up tonight is one that I'm really interested to hear from Rick Canale and Art Patron about what exactly, in layman terms, is the board voting on this resolution?
Well, I'm gonna leave this to the esteemed Chief Plan Operator,
Here we go again.
Rick Canale.
They will be voting on, to advertise for bids, to go out for headworks analysis study, which, what that does is it develops our local limits, and that's what allows industries to discharge certain limits of different analysis and parameters. And EPA, actually, we have a EPA-regulated pretreatment program, so we highly recommend that we do this regularly. The last one was done in 2010. So when they look at it, they state that if you have new industries coming in, or if you've had compliance issues, or if you're upgrading your facility, even changing how you process your sludge and where that's gonna go, they highly recommend a study like this. So the engineering company will come in, set up all the sampling protocol for us. It's pretty involved. We have to sample all throughout our facility and out in the field. We sample domestic and industries, and they develop our, if the local limits need to change or not, and what we can handle to treat the plant.
Well, you check a few of those
Basically.
boxes.
Yep, check all of them, basically, yeah. So,
I'm curious, the advertisements to go in the Webster Herald, do these engineering companies monitor the local papers for that? Seems like that's not something they'd see.
Right, so it's similar to all RFPs we send out, we will also reach out to qualified vendors,
Okay, great.
make them aware of it.
Would this cost extra for this evaluation?
yes,
How much more are we talking
we
about?
did budget it. It's been budgeted for in this project, somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000.
It was in with the,
25 budget, it's been budgeted.
okay.
We won't know the final price until we receive bids back and do qualification discussions with them.
However, in the wastewater recovery business, this is just the cost of doing business.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And also, another box to check is we are having an EPA inspection coming up. It was supposed to be in the fall, they haven't reached back out again, and they will be happy to know that we are going through this process.
Good.
Or I'm sure they might probably make it mandatory, so better be out in front of it.
Yes.
Well, I gotta tell you something, when I looked at it, I said, I have no idea what this is about. Now I know exactly what it's about.
I looked and I had the same reaction, but I called to find out and spoke with Rick the other day on the phone. So if there are no other questions, I would authorize the town clerk to advertise and solicit requests for proposals from the qualified engineers to develop and implement a plan to update the Town of Webster Sewer Department local limits included in the town's industrial pretreatment program and sewer use ordinance. Advertisement to be in the Webster Herald on January 22nd, 2025, with proposals to be opened on February 13th, 2025.
Second. Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Well, thanks, guys. Well, the next one's really exciting because if we have to have any explanation from either Paul Adams, our finance director, or Pat Stevens, our highway superintendent, Pat Stevens brought some muscle with him. He brought his bouncer, didn't you?
Brought some backup just in case there's any problems. Thank you. Yeah, so the next portion is something we do every year. So it's an agreement between the town board and the town supervisor and myself, the highway superintendent, or the highway department, to spend the funds that were budgeted in the 2025 operational budget. So it represents the entire general road repair and the capital road repair that was as approved in the 2025 budget. So the numbers you see in there can be directly correlated to the budget that's already been passed, but we have to have an agreement between the two parties in order to spend them for these specific things. It has some more details about what roads we're working on and different stuff like that. But it's really the formalization of an agreement for something that's already been budgeted for through our annual budget process. So not too exciting, although the numbers are large. You get to see, what we're spending on the roads in general and the capital projects and where some of them are. But it's something that's already been vetted and budgeted.
You want to know something? Oh, sorry, Paul, go ahead.
That's correct. Yeah, this is highway law,
Yep.
and I think basically the highway superintendent has the right to spend funds without anyone questioning it, as he sees fit.
So as usual, Paul is the straight man leading right into our comedy act, right, Paul? This is, I think, the 5th year that I've been at the dais when we do this resolution, because we do it every January and whatever, and it was explained to me the first year that this is highway law, New York State highway law. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It never really resonated with me until a couple of weeks ago that there's a lot of highway superintendents in New York State that are elected. And because of that, they are really separate from the town board, and that's why in those situations, and tying to highway law, you do need a town board resolution, giving the money over, and it's yours as the highway superintendent to use accordingly. And most recently, in the last couple of weeks, I saw an article in the news about an alleged crime where town board members broke into the highway garage where they didn't have any right to do that, and the highway superintendent brought up charges on it. I was like, wow. And I'm like, I'll bet you dollars of donuts that's an elected highway superintendent, and they got some bad blood between the town board and the highway superintendent in that situation. I don't know if enough to be dangerous, but I am very glad that we appointed our highway superintendent after a robust process a few years ago, and we got the person that we wanted, who thought would. So hopefully we'll never have you in that situation, Pat.
And someone who's doing a
Agreed.
fabulous job.
Yeah, that's so.
Second.
Yeah.
Elected highway superintendents. Well, whatever. I could go on. I mean,
That's pretty common.
so
It's
somebody
quite
who
common,
just
yeah.
is popular could become the highway superintendent with no background in the things that you need to have.
There's a lot of positions like that.
How very true.
Oh, we better just stop right
Yeah,
now.
let's stop.
Look at Kyle laughing. The skill set of being a town supervisor. You got the most votes. That's a skill. Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
That conversation went sideways very
It did.
quickly. You want to read this?
Yes. I'll make a resolution to authorize an agreement between the highway superintendent and the Webster Town Board to spend 2025 highway funds in the amount of $1,945,671 for general repairs and $419,535 for permanent improvements. And the streets that are in scope for 2025 are Crescent View Drive, Shanley Drive, and Pellet Road. So there was some work over in that Crescent View, Shanley, some other streets last year.
Yep, yeah, so this is a continuation of the same general area that's in the worst disrepair that we have right now that we're continuing to do, yeah. So the last few capital or permanent improvement projects have been adjacent to one another, kind of section by section, and we do as much as we can do each year. But yeah, the last few years have been connected. Pellet will be the first one that's sort of in a different section of town, and then kind of review each area and move to wherever we're needed most.
Yep, all right. that's a
I will
motion.
second that motion.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
So did you hear the size of the money that your dad deals with? Pretty big, huh? Yeah, pretty impressive.
Is there an allowance in your home?
Oh, boy.
Oh,
None of the $2 million here will be spent on anybody's allowance, we can
That is
assure you.
correct.
The allowance comes out of the paycheck.
That's right.
I'm gonna take a guess on something here. Is Mom working tonight? Yep, there you have it. So you didn't volunteer to come to this board meeting with your dad?
In the cold and
Yeah,
snow.
no, you didn't, did you? Too bad the cameras can't see this because, how old are you? 7. Yep.
unfortunately, with this column, I can't see it either.
You can't see?
No.
Pat's
For
daughter?
once, I
She's
can
adorable.
see.
She's-
I can see.
Normally, I get all the attention.
Yeah, sorry, Pat. You know.
It's okay.
All righty, well, we're moving on. So the next resolution is to appoint Sarah Nowak, who's already a member of the Board of Assessment Review, to really re-up her term on that, another term on that board. And Jennifer, I know you as the assessment liaison. This is kind of an unusual board compared to our other citizens boards because all the other citizens boards are calendar year boards. And this one uses the assessment calendars.
Yep.
So, September, I don't quite understand why September is the termination, but
It's probably when they close out the review session.
maybe, but she, Sarah, her term actually expired at September 30th of '24, but because, I don't know, it just kind of fell through the cracks of re-upping her. But now that the assessment season is starting up, Donna was like, our assessor said, can you, we need to paper this up, as I like to call it, so.
Yep.
That the way you understand it, Jennifer?
Yeah, it is, and I will make a motion to appoint Sarah Nowak as a member of the Assessment Review Board for a term of 5 years, ending September 30th, 2029.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
In the next one, actually, this is a product of our, the portal that we open in the November, December timeframe for the citizens boards, and we try to, see what people throw their name in the ring to be on one of our citizens boards. And we had pretty robust participation this year for planning board. Tony Kashani, the chair, and Josh Artuzo, our community development director, and myself actually interviewed 3 candidates, and what the bummer of it is that all 3 were excellent. And, we're trying to work with the 2 that didn't get the position to try to, where can we get them into our system? We need to get some good talent into, whether it's conservation board or zoning board, I'm all about, let's stockpile this young talent. Oh, I'm not supposed to say young, am I?
Nothing wrong with that.
But this gentleman, I gotta tell you something, and no, he is not here tonight. He said, should I come? I said, you don't have to, but if you want to, that's your, Drazen, I don't think I'm breaking any confidentiality on this. He lives kind of right across or within reason of Holy Trinity Church up on Ridge Road. A couple years ago when I met him is because the Historical Society, we went out and put the placards, house built in 1845, it still maintains this, whatever, on his house. At that time, this was like 3 years ago, he was holding like a 1.5-year-old baby, and his wife was pregnant with their second. His wife sings at Holy Trinity Mass. She has a beautiful voice. And now they have a 3.5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and she is due in a couple months with their third.
That's
It's pretty
exciting.
cool.
Very cool.
You saw this guy's resume. Very impressive guy. For the youth that he has, he's been in front of a lot of town boards in his position at engineering firms and this and that. We thought this was a home run to get onto the planning board. So there's my, does anybody have any questions or comments about Drazen before we?
No, I think it's wonderful to see someone who's obviously very busy with a career and does have a young family. And we all know that both those add up to not a lot of spare time. It's great to see that there's a willingness and a desire to engage with the hometown.
Yeah.
It's also nice to see new talent rotating through some of these boards. It is a long term, and the term allows you to get through 7 years, so that there's continuity, which is important, but 7 years is a long time.
Right.
And having an
Agreed.
opportunity to have fresh perspective is always a good thing.
So without further ado, Jenny, anything? Okay. I make a motion to appoint Drazen Gossage as a member of the Webster Planning Board for a term of 7 years ending December 31st, 2031.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
The next is a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign the Microsoft licensure agreement 3-year contract in the amount of $65,870.16 annually for a total of $197,610.48 over the 3-year contract.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Well, Steve Peace will be very happy tomorrow morning, won't he? Our IT director has been sweating this one, not so much that he didn't think that we would approve it, but he's been here 20 years and he's watched Microsoft licensures, the price just, and also
sure.
our users, people that use the computers and devices out in the field and whatever. It's a cost of doing business, especially
Yeah.
in this technological, based world.
Fortunately, it is.
We're down to our last one, and Patty, you
Well,
said you're gonna
there
read
are-
off every one?
There are two, and I did tell you that if it was
Oh, there
before
are two.
8 o'clock, I was going to read all 37 of these
Yeah.
items with their asset tag numbers. I will not do that. I will make a motion to approve the following items for recycling from the sewer department as listed in our agenda. There are 37 of them.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Yeah, actually,
And I will make a resolution to approve the following items for recycling for the highway department. Mine's much easier. There's two, cardiac AED device and a Dell laptop.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Aye.
Now, usually we do the round table. I'm going to make another executive decision. We're not gonna do that tonight because I'm making a motion for us to go into executive session under section 105 of the New York State Public Officers Law, section 1, subsection, I'm gonna say F. Yes, F. And that is my motion.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
I'm gonna revise, I'm sorry, my motion, or I need to give the invitees. It is the town board members, obviously. The town legal counsel, Kyle Taylor, is here. And is it just Chief Colmeyer? Chief Colmeyer and Captain Reed. And Town Finance Director Paul Adams. That's my motion with invitees.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Okay, well, that concludes the public part of our meeting tonight, so we'll be